Friends, Greg, Newmaster, coming at you again with another action figure review. This is Scarlet Spider Mafex, and this is a custom I did for any of you guys out there who are customizers. I actually got the Mafex comic Spider-Man figure knockoff. I bought two of them, and I got them on eBay for around $25. Got them from Taiwan and China. Now, this is pre-pandemic when I purchased them, so I don't know how long it would take now, but it took about 3 weeks to get. And I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s, as I've mentioned before in some of my videos. And I grew up with, Maximum Carnage and the Clone Saga, specifically the Clone Saga. So a lot of people hated the Clone Saga in Spider-Man, and I understand that because it was just so all over the place. But in that period, and I have some friends who feel this way too, because this was the dawn of like the 90s characters. So there was the new Green Lantern, there was the Wally West Flash, talking DC continuity. We had the Jim Lee X-Men, we had the McFarlane Spider-Man, and then Mark Bagley came along. But we also got the Scarlet Spider, and I think the Scarlet Spider costume is one of the coolest Spider-Man costumes to ever come along, and I particularly fell in love with Ben Reilly, and it was a big mind F because the whole time you were wondering, like, is Ben Reilly the original Peter Parker? Is the supposed Peter Parker who we thought was the original Spider-Man, who we found out to be the clone based on the work that the Jackal did, is he actually Spider-Man, and who is it? And then they said that Ben Reilly was the real Spider-Man. And spoiler, if you haven't read the awesome story, we find out that it was Norman Osborn all along, the Green Goblin, come back from the dead, who he had always thought was dead, and he'd been gone for so many years, and Harry was the Green Goblin, and then Harry died, and then Norman came back, and shit hit the fan. And I don't know about you, but that was so exciting when Norman Osborn, the original Green Goblin, returned from the dead. We found out that he had an advanced healing factor from the Goblin Serum, and that when the Goblin Glider had originally impaled him in Amazing Spider-Man 122, that his chest had healed, and he had been living in Europe and pulling these strings while he was healing and messing with Peter Parker's life the whole time. So we get this whole storyline with Peter, Ben Reilly, and then Kane Parker, who is, I think, in current continuity, the newest Scarlet Spider, but I haven't kept up with the newest Spider-Man stuff. But anyhow, back in the 90s, early 2000s, Ben Reilly became Spider-Man for a time, but first he was a Scarlet Spider. So they've had a few Scarlet Spider figures to come along. There was the Spider-Man Classics line pre-Marvel Legends, and they did a Scarlet Spider like that, and that was pretty good. It had pretty decent articulation, but it wasn't quite as good as the Toy Biz figure that would come along. And then Hasbro did a Scarlet Spider recently, and that was a decent figure, but I didn't like it because it had the sculpted sweatshirt. I liked how they had the soft good sweatshirt. And then Mafex, in recent history, has started cranking out awesome, I think the best figures on the market right now in terms of sculpt and articulation. They're just stunningly beautiful, and they just keep getting better and better. And I don't think you could ask for a better 6-inch figure than what Mafex makes, Medicom Mafex, in my opinion. But they have yet to make a Scarlet Spider, which I think is one of the most iconic Spider-Man costumes. That being said, they are releasing the Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume, but they have yet to do a Scarlet Spider. So what did I do? I made a custom. It's not a great custom, but I just wanted to review this for you guys and show you what you guys can do. And any of you guys out there who are brilliant can correct my mistakes or give me comments on what to do, because I like how it turned out, but it could have turned out better. and I'll explain to you the issues. So as we look at this, so like I said, these two figures here are both knockoffs from China. They are not the original Mafex, but they only cost $25 as opposed to aftermarket $100 to $150 to $200. So these are only $25 and they were good quality. Just to show you, here is the original Mafex comic book version Spider-Man, and I'll show you guys him. Now, this is the original right here, and here are the two copies. So I bought two of the same knockoff figure, and I can show you the differences here, and then I can give you guys ideas on how you want to custom. So the major difference between the knockoff and the original one is obviously quality control. But I gotta say, these figures are pretty solid, the knockoffs. The only major difference is if you can see the sculpt of the torso here, they didn't really take the time to solidify that, so that kind of sticks out. But if you heat it up, you can sculpt it and mold it so it's more sleek like the actual figure. As you guys can see the difference. Here's the knockoff, here's the original, and the rib cage, and see how the rib cage sticks out like so. So that's something you could fix, but if you're gonna just paint over the figure, it's not really a big deal. But here is the original, and also the limbs like pop apart real easily on the knockoff. Like for example, the leg will come off pretty easily where it doesn't happen on the original. So just to give you an idea about the knockoff, but it's really good. I mean, it is a really good figure, even though it is a knockoff. But they're so inexpensive online. They come with all the same parts. They come with a box. The box is sometimes mangled. Some of the webbing is all bent up and weird. They come with all the exact same accessories as the Mafex. Everything you would want. The stands, everything's just loose, and it's just poor quality control. But if you want to get a knockoff and you want to customize, I highly recommend you do it. So, that being said, I will show you guys my custom Scarlet Spider. So, granted, this isn't perfect. Like I said, I just wanted to see what it would be like to paint over this figure. So what I used was Testors model paint. I had to put on about 3 coats of paint, as you can see, and even so, the paint still chipped, like in the joints. So I disassembled the figure, which came apart really easily, and I knew this was probably going to happen, but I just wanted to see how the paint went on. So this is Testors model paint kit for, from everything I read online, like it's some of the best paint you can get if you're going to customize. And yeah, it went on pretty good, but like anytime I bended a joint, like you could see the blue through there. So that was kind of disappointing. They're releasing the black costume Spider-Man. See like how the paint chipped there. And I let it dry for a few days too, but it's still chipped off. But it is a really good, this is a glossy paint I used for Scarlet Spider. And, I just wanted to see what it would look like. I mean, just straight up as Ben Reilly would do, or sort of how Miles Morales did in the Spider-Man movie. And he pretty much just spray painted a Spider-Man costume. That actually kind of inspired me, is he just painted over an old Spider-Man costume. So I was like, what the hell? I'll try that. Now, any of you out there who are really good, you might want to get like some modeling clay so you can cover up some of the sculpting. But I was too lazy to do that and sand it. But you can get some model clay and probably fill in the gaps of the webbing and things like that. But I just wanted to do a real sloppy, random Ben Reilly, because that's what Ben Reilly did. He literally just quickly threw together a costume and became the Scarlet Spider. He bought a crappy sweatshirt at the store. This is actually the soft goods sweatshirt from the classic Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider. And the accessories, the belt, the web shooters, and the ankle pouches come from Marvel Legends Scarlet Spider. So the big draw on the Scarlet Spider for me was the fact that he didn't have the soft goods sweatshirt. And actually, this isn't the perfect sweatshirt for the Scarlet Spider, in my opinion. It is a really good one, and I know this comes from Toy Biz and Spider-Man Classics, but the original color is more of a light blue instead of this dark blue, but I really like this red I chose, and I felt like that was fitting and appropriate for the Scarlet Spider. Now, any of you guys customizing out there, like I said, it might behoove you to fill in the sculpting with some modeling clay. And if anybody is bold enough to share their customization, I'd really appreciate that, because I'd like to see if anybody took on the task out there and just really made a real sleek looking Scarlet Spider. But here he is from the back. Here is what he looks like underneath without the sweatshirt. As you can see, I don't want to take it all the way off because this sweatshirt or this piece of cloth is so old. But all the articulation is great. You know, you get the double jointed knees, multiple. I like the magnetic feet because I like to hang them up. And this, as you can see, for the knockoff version, the magnets do work. It just takes a little time to get it on. But, you know, if you want to, you know, for example, normally I have my Spider-Man hanging up on my light here. So there's my Mafex Venom, and he's on my light pole with the magnets, as you guys can see there. But anyhow, yeah, so, you know, I love this character, and I'm really hoping that Mafex makes him as well as the Scarlet, or the Ben Reilly Spider-Man outfit, because that's an awesome costume too. But I'd really like to see Mafex do a really professional quality of the Scarlet Spider, just because I love Ben Reilly so much with the alternate blonde hair, and just a soft good sweatshirt, and the awesome web shooters, and the belt, and the pouches. Just a great character, great figure. Ultimately, Ben Reilly dies at the hands of Norman Osborn because he sneak attacks Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider, and then Ben Reilly disintegrates, and this whole time you finally discover that, in fact, Ben Reilly was always the clone, and that Peter Parker, the one we thought was the clone, was always the real Spider-Man all along. So I really enjoyed that story arc. So anyhow, this is just a fun review I wanted to do. Perhaps I can give you guys some ideas out there. I'd love to see anybody else's work if they've done anything like this. I always love great customs, and I always appreciate other people's artistic ability. Like I said, this isn't a perfect Scarlet Spider custom by any means. I've seen people do fantastic stuff that, you know, I can't even touch. But this took me like a few hours to do. Just a couple coats of paint, and you know, stole some parts from Marvel Legends and had myself my own Scarlet Spider. Like I said, you can get the knockoff comic book version of Spider-Man. These two, $25 a piece, around $20, as low as $10. I try to look for a reputable seller, so it doesn't take too long and you don't get ripped off completely and you don't get junk. But I've taken some risks on some customs in the past, or I mean some knockoffs, especially with SH Figure Arts Dragon Ball Z. So anyhow, if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you all.